Hi, everybody. Okay, so my title, Loose Ends, is kind of what it felt like today. They were tying up loose ends. I'm going to talk about all the stories like I always do, but I'm going to try to give you a quick overview and then I'm going to dive in a little deeper on a few stories here. Okay, so miraculously, Nikki has her sight back, yada yada. So now they have to deal with the fallout of Nikki and Victor. Are they going to get back together? What's going to happen, right? Okay, so before you get all excited about there's going to be a major change, nope. Okay, so they had a discussion, uh, that she felt like he was holding her to some impossible standard because that Victor didn't want her to be friends with Jack, and that Victor's the love of her life, and she couldn't understand why he didn't want her to be friends with another guy, and yada yada yada. And then, could you please forgive me for whatever I did, right? Okay. Then magically they're forgiven, and everything's gonna be the same old, same old. So that's why I'm not so happy. Okay, now on to this story. Because they're kind of two stories in one. It all has to do with Matt and kind of Phyllis. Because, okay, yesterday they finally slept together. Okay, so we're we're in the scene, and it's supposed to be a continuation from yesterday. So we find Phyllis in bed alone again, and I said, what is going on here? I first I said, where's that? Then I said, again. So I'm like, what the hell happened? I'm sorry for the language, but literally that was going on in my head. Like, what happened here? What happened here? And then I, I, I feel like I had an out of body experience, and my body was transformed into Phyllis's body because Phyllis got pissed off, and I mean pissed off. Okay, why did you leave me? Why did you ghost me? Excuse me, it's Phyllis, the person you just slept with last night. And she leaves him a long email, a long voicemail. And I'm like, whoo. Then, okay, because we're the audience, we see where he went and what he did, right? So when I see him, I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, that's where he went. But I'm like, what? Why? Why would you talk to Sienna, your ex-wife? Who you don't exactly have the greatest history with her, right? So why would you go to her? So this is going on in my head, right? His justification for it is he wants to make a fresh start in Genoa City with Phyllis, but he figures the only way he can do that is he thinks his biggest champion will be Sienna. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Noah and Sharon Case. Okay, so yay, Sharon Case got a couple scenes, but boo, they didn't do anything with her, which they haven't done for like at least 2 to 3 years, and I've been counting. Okay, they've done nothing with Sharon Case at all. All she does is she's in the coffee shop and she hears people's stuff and she might give advice from time to time. That's it. Okay. Now, apparently you're supposed to believe. Now, this is kind of a cluster story, so give me a minute here. Okay. You're supposed to believe that Nick went to rehab for his problem and that he made an order of mulberry muffins from Sharon's cafe, and then that's how Sharon is involved with that. Okay, then Noah comes in the scene, and she says, "You want one of these?" Meaning the muffins, and he says no, and she says automatically when he says no, she says there's something wrong. He says, "How do you know that?" She says, "Usually I have to fight you off with these." So she knows something's wrong. And then he says, it's Matt. If Matt would just leave town, then there would be no problems. I'm like, honey, sweetheart, you got bigger problems than that. Your girlfriend talked about more about her ex-husband than you. That's your problem. He is not the problem. The fact that she's talking about him is the problem. So I don't know. This might be this is like foreshadowing a bit in my mind. It might become a love triangle ish because if Sienna still believes that there might be a good piece of Matt, she might want him back, but I don't think so. So that's why I say it's like far reaching, but I don't know. Um, and then, so then he comes back to Phyllis after she's left the bad voicemail. And she said, why'd you leave? And I'm like, yes. And then he says, because I was trying to get everything situated so we could have a fresh start. And I was like, oh, okay, that's sweet. And then so that's where this thing is going with them. Okay. As I do, I'm going to talk about the spoilers a little bit, but there's not much to talk about because, okay, while I would like to be excited about it, I just can't be because Mariah is going to be back in town. But hold your horses. Just because Mariah is in town doesn't mean they're going to give Mariah a good storyline. Because I have had it happen to me before where I get excited and then it goes kaput. And then there's going to be something with Christine and Danny. I don't know. And then probably something else, but I only saw two. Oh, and then I guess um Victor and Nikki are gonna renew their vows or something. I don't know. I don't know. It makes no sense. I'm not on board with this. Just to be clear, I'm time stamping it. I'm not on board with Victor and Nikki because nothing is going to change. Oh. All right. Bye, everybody.